Analysis of the Hellfire missile fired at a UFO shown in a video at the Congressional UFO hearing showed it splitting into 4 objects that continued the same trajectory. Robert Salas explains the UFO nuclear shutdown incident he was exposed to in 1967 to Congressman Eric Burlison. Congressman Tim Burchett is openly talking about advanced civilizations coming from the bottom of at least 5 to 6 underwater locations. A 1997 UFO case where a contingent of US Marine Corps personnel came across an alien reproduction vehicle and were threatened by black clad personnel ready to use deadly force. The UAP Disclosure Act keeps getting deleted or gutted when included as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act for the last 3 years. The Congressional UAP Caucus has sent letters to 4 government organizations and corporations requesting UFO-related data. These stories and more on Exopolitics Today, the Week in Review.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Welcome to the September 20 edition of Exopolitics Today, the Week in Review. We have had some very interesting developments this week, so let me dive right into it. First is the video that was shown at the Congressional UFO hearing on September 9, where a Hellfire missile was aimed at a UFO, and the missile hit the UFO, which appeared to be some kind of orb, and it split into 4 objects. So this was shown at the UFO hearing. So let me play this for you.
Apparently, it was carrying a payload of these things, whatever they were. 3 came out. It may have been carrying more. We can see 3 for sure, and they appear to be aerodynamic as they started following the primary object. Here I have it in ultra slow motion, pretty much frame by frame. I was looking for anything else that may have shown up in the video that we didn't see. And right there is where it started glowing. And then these start glowing almost as if they had some sort of a power source. Highly unusual. You can't make this stuff up. So yes, there was an event that occurred off the coast of Yemen. And whatever this thing was that was spotted off the coast of Yemen took a direct impact from a Hellfire missile and survived. What type of technology could this have possibly been? And it wasn't just one piece of technology. As you can see from this video footage here, this enhanced video footage, it wasn't just one object. It appears to have been multiple objects. There were smaller objects of the same size, shapes, and dimensions inside of the primary object. So there's the analysis, guys, of the super rare video footage taken from the coast of Yemen of an unidentified flying object that took a direct impact.
Okay, so that was the analysis by Michael Bradbury about this UFO video that was shown at the September 9 hearing. And he showed quite clearly that it broke up into 4 distinct objects after being hit by the Hellfire missile and just continued the same trajectory. Now, there have been many UFO videos that show UFOs breaking apart and also being able to rejoin. And so that would support the idea that this UFO was some kind of plasma object, some kind of orb-like structure. And when the Hellfire missile passed through it, it separated into those 4 distinct parts. And I think if there was more footage, maybe it would have shown that those 4 parts would have rejoined, which I think is really what has happened so many times in other UFO cases. But very interesting, this incident with the Hellfire missile. And one of the aspects that other commentators have pointed out is that it didn't detonate, and that these Hellfire missiles are designed to detonate when they impact a object, and so there's a certain amount of pressure that happens with the impact. But when it passes through a plasma orb, there's no impact. So it didn't detonate, but nevertheless, the orb did break apart into 4 bits. Okay, here is Robert Salas, who talked about a meeting he had with the Congressman Eric Burlison. And let me see if this is something. Oh well, it's a fairly long video of 44 minutes, but this is where Captain Robert Salas, he was a U.S. Air Force captain upon his retirement from the Air Force, and he was the one that was involved in the Maelstrom UFO shutdown incident. I think that's in North Dakota or Montana, one of those states where Maelstrom is located. And there were 7 nuclear missiles out of 10 that were shut down because of this UFO, and that another 20 nuclear missiles in adjoining missile silos were also shut down, according to Robert Salas. So it's interesting that he shared the information with Congressman Eric Burlison. And so this kind of shows the new times that we are in, where members of the US Congress are willingly meeting with UFO whistleblowers and hearing their stories. I mean, there was a time when I started back in 2001, 2002, after the Disclosure Project press conference, that members of Congress would not meet with whistleblowers because it was just too dangerous for their careers. And I know of cases where members of Congress were threatened and told, look, if you continue to show an interest in this, you can forget about your congressional career. But if you just forget about this whole UFO issue, then you will be promoted. And that's what happened. That I know of one member of Congress, Congressman Reyes of Texas, who was interested in UFOs, and he was threatened and he was told to back off, which he did. And then he was promoted to chairman of one of the congressional committees. Well, here you have Eric Burlison, one of the members of the UAP Caucus, who are willingly meeting whistleblowers and getting their testimonies. And they're doing it quite aggressively, which is very refreshing to see. Congressman Burlison, Congressman Tim Burchett, Congressman Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace, and there are 2 others that are part of the UAP caucus, and they're all aggressively trying to get to the truth of this, and they're being stymied. But nevertheless, it's a completely different time to 20 years ago, where members of Congress were silenced if they got interested into this. Now they know that there's great secrets being hidden, and so they're going for it. So great to see Robert Salas being interviewed by Congressman Burlison. All right, well, here is, I've started this tradition now of every week starting with some UFO exopolitics humor. So here is something that I wanted to play concerning Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his crew trying to work from home.
Mr. Data, always on time.
Captain, is there an agenda for this meeting?
No, Data. This is an informal debrief after our last mission. We'll keep it fairly light today, being a Friday and all. Hello, Will.
Captain, Data. Captain, is there any reason we're not having this meeting in the observation lounge?
I thought we could do it from the comfort of our own view screen today. We have the technology, we might as well use it.
Do we have an agenda?
No agenda, just a chat. Where is Worf? He's late.
I haven't seen him on the bridge today.
Worf, what on earth are you wearing?
It's Friday. I work from home Friday.
Do you mean work from home? Your
This
home is the
is
Enterprise. You're
unbelievable.
literally 100 meters down the corridor.
Captain, our new ship policy does permit crew to dress casually in certain circumstances.
Worf, you look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous.
Worf, you do look like a confused pleasure attendant from Risa.
Captain, is there an agenda for this meeting?
Oh, for God's sake, since when do we need an agenda for every discussion?
A meeting with no agenda is a meeting without honor.
Everything okay, number one?
Yes, Captain.
Good. Now I'd like to debrief on our last mission, as you...
Captain, we're losing you.
Captain, your signal is degrading.
It's the Wi-Fi.
I thought Geordi fixed the Wi-Fi.
Can't get decent Wi-Fi. Picard to LaForge, fix the f***ing Wi-Fi.
Next time, I suggest we meet in person.
I agree. In the observation lounge.
I concur. With an agenda.
Someone please assimilate me. Computer, end call.
Okay, so that's some humor to start the week. Okay, so here's an interview I did with Tyler Koala, where I interviewed Tyler about his recruitment offers into a secret space program. And it was very interesting because I thought of Tyler as a fellow researcher and didn't realize that he actually had some pretty rich experiences with inner Earth beings and also with people from secret space programs and experiences with shadow beings and so forth. So this was, I thought, a very helpful interview for people that want to know the backstory about Tyler. What was it that got him interested in the topic of secret space programs and his own experiences? So definitely very interesting what he has been through. And there were these efforts by a close friend of his to recruit him to go to Mars, which was very similar to what had happened with Laura Eisenhower. So yeah, definitely if you wanted to learn more about his experiences in secret space programs and with inner Earth beings, then definitely take a look at that video, that interview. All right, well, here is something that I kind of like thought was worth taking a look at, and it is a story found on Astronomy Lovers. Europa's mysterious radio signals. Are we witnessing the first signs of alien contact? So it was a very interesting story published on a number of social media sites. Neil deGrasse Tyson also seemed to be putting out this idea that mysterious radio signals were coming from Europa. But when I dug deeper into it, I could not find any mainstream science sources talking about it. So I think it was just some misinformation put out there. But nevertheless, I did in my tweet point out that there is a underground civilization in Europa, and that JP, former US Army, was taken to Europa by Nordic extraterrestrials who were doing a supply run to this underground city there in Europa. And what was very interesting was that JP, as he came back from that trip to Europa, he took some photos. So here you have photos of the flying saucer craft that picked him up. So this is important because JP is among the few ET contactees that actually have taken photographs or video of the craft that they've been taken on. And that is very important and kind of like makes JP's testimony stand out from many others that have incredible stories but no supporting evidence. All right, now here is another story concerning a member of Congress, this time Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee. And let's hear what he has to say about underwater civilizations that he is aware of.
What if these are entities that are here on this earth, that have been on this earth, that who knows how long, and that we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennial ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas, and that's why. I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there, and we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so to me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, and I mean.
All right. Well, so there you have Congressman Tim Burchett revealing that he's being told from the whistleblower sources and insiders that he's talking with that there are 5 to 6 underwater locations where you have extraterrestrials, civilizations, or marine civilizations, underwater civilizations. And so that's very revealing. And again, it speaks to this new openness by members of Congress, in this case, the UAP Caucus, that these are people that is actively seeking out information from whistleblowers as to what's really happening concerning UFOs and USOs, unidentified submersible objects. And that he's been told that these come from underwater civilizations. Now, I have spoken in the past about 2 of the people I've been working with, JP and also Jean-Charles Moyen, who have both spoken about being taken to an underwater civilization in the Bermuda Triangle area near the Bahamas, and what they experienced. So that is something that is well worth taking a look at. I recently did another interview on Redacted with Clayton Morris. Actually, that was the Thursday, September 18 edition of Redacted. I don't have the link for that yet, but definitely, if you're interested, take a look at my interview on Redacted. It goes for about 15 minutes, and it'll be one of the sections for their Thursday, September 18 show. Now, here is a 1997 UFO case where a contingent of US Marine Corps came across an alien reproduction vehicle and were then threatened by black-clad personnel. So this is the original tweet that I reposted, and it involves one of the people that was involved with the case. And he described the very large hovering triangle that was an alien reproduction vehicle, and that where this took place in the California desert. And he spoke with the witness, a Sergeant Castle, and they did a video interview, and this is something that was covered in Reality Check by Russ Coulthard. And so this is some of the giveaways from this particular case involving Sergeant Castle and the alien reproduction vehicle. So they describe the exercise where that involved the sighting. So this is information about it involving the Hunter-Warrior Advanced Warfighting Experiment. And the acronyms here are for the naval air stations where the incidents happened. Castle's encounter occurred 45 miles southeast of Edwards Air Force Base. Okay, so giving us more technical information here. Uh, in the video, they go into depth exploring Castle's description of the flying triangle, that's the ARV, and that it was operating with a ground team for ISR, that's intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance purposes, and it's a alien reproduction vehicle. And also, the speculation was that the black-clad security personnel, there were about 30 of them, that they were working with the Wackenhut services. And people who have talked about Wackenhut have talked about them being quite ruthless. These are civilian contractors, and they former military, former operatives, and they can be very ruthless in dealing with any kind of security concern at a base. So this incident is very similar to what Michael Herrera described that took place in Indonesia in 2004. And he described a similar incident where his squad, it was the Marines again, that stumbled upon an alien reproduction vehicle, and they were surrounded by black-clad operatives. Again, these operatives didn't have any kind of security patches or anything, but we could probably guess that they are associated with a private contractor, maybe like Wackenhut. All right, here is a interview I did where I was interviewed, this time by Tyler Koala and Aaron Kuhn for Journey to Truth. And this interview, here's the Journey to Truth YouTube channel. I think they also have a Rumble channel. And I think that they were taken down from YouTube some time ago. So they're rebuilding their subscriptions. So definitely, if you like Journey to Truth, you could subscribe to them on YouTube or Rumble. So I did an interview with them where we talked about the fall of the deep state and undermining an ancient satanic network, which is very important for understanding how the deep state operates, that there is a network that does involve Satan worshipping, and they do all sorts of rituals, and that's part of the control system. And understanding that helps us better appreciate how it is the secrets are kept and the ruthlessness of the people that are enforcing the secrets. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, take a look at Journey to Truth and my interview on that came out on Thursday evening. Okay, here is a interview that just came out on Thursday. Dark Fleet Geisha to Ashtar Command. So here is a interview I did where I interviewed Dr. Catherine Milano, who described how she was recruited into secret space programs, and in particular into the Dark Fleet. And it's quite a horrendous story about the kind of trauma she suffered as a young girl, as a teenager, being subjected to things like satanic ritual abuse. And this is all part of the training. This happens in the secret space programs, that there is an SRA component there which is designed to traumatize people to get them to do what it is that the controllers want them to do. So she described all of that, what she went through, how she was basically groomed to work as a sex worker for the Dark Fleet for a kind of like extended period of time. And she described the work she did for the Dark Fleet, and as you can imagine, it's pretty degrading for a woman, but nevertheless, she survived it, and she went on to become a psychotherapist, getting a PhD in helping people deal with PTSD, and memory recall. And only 3 months ago, she started to have full memory downloads of what she had been through. And so that's where her training came in well, that because she was a licensed clinical psychologist, she could deal with the kind of traumas of what she was now remembering. And if it wasn't, well, I mean, I think she has a disposition which is very, very positive, and so I think that helped her deal with the traumatic aspects of it. But one of the things that also was very, very important was that she learned about her her connection to the Ashtar command, and that she was working with the Ashtar command as a double agent. So the Dark Fleet was using her as a geisha, as a sex worker, using her to spy on trade delegates, but she was actually a double agent working for the Ashtar command and reporting back to them everything that was going on. And this is a pattern I found with my interviews of several galactic envoys now, that they have volunteered. So really, I mean, it's hard to describe them as victims because they've volunteered to be recruited and put through these different secret space program trainings where it involves trauma, a lot of abuse, and then working for various SSP entities that are very manipulative and cruel. And but in the process, they learn about these operations and they report back to positive extraterrestrial organizations like the Ashtar Command or like the Galactic Federation of Worlds and so forth. So I think that this is definitely well worth listening to. I think her testimony is helping a lot of people realize that this is actually very common. I think that there are many, many galactic envoys that have been through a very similar process. And I'm very happy to interview anyone that believes they've been through a galactic envoy program. And there are people like Catherine and Andrea Martin and Erica and Marina and others who are willing to help people deal with the memories associated with being subjected to one of these kind of like very abusive programs. Okay, so here is something that Carb put out, Kabumu Taigera. Now, Carb works with his mother, Judith Lynn, who is a contactee channeler for the Galactic Federation. And they put out some very, very interesting information. A lot of it resonates as very positive, and I don't always agree with the information that Carb puts out, but that's par for the course. You can never have 100% agreement with everyone, but he does have a lot of good insights into things. And I think his insight here into Jimmy Kimmel is, let's just say that it is consistent with what I have found from others who have talked about Hollywood type celebrities being involved in these SRA ceremonies where, let's just say, young people are abused and compromised and used in honeypot operations. And, if you look at what it was that Jimmy Kimmel did regarding Charlie Kirk, it's like, Jimmy Kimmel is a smart man. And there's no way in the world that such a smart man would kind of mess it up so badly to kind of think that the person who killed Charlie Kirk was somehow a deranged MAGA supporter. I mean, that is just so far from the truth. It's just like, well, how would a smart person fall for that? No, there's no way he's a smart person. Oh, sorry, there's no way he would fall for that. He was putting out a talking point. and that is because I think Carb is right that Kimmel is compromised and he's part of this kind of satanic network. And yeah, I mean, these parties, these celebrity parties where young people are sacrificed. I have interviewed Tony Rodrigues several times, and he talked about this, how this SRA is used by the elites, by celebrities, and how he often would be taken to one of these celebrity parties in the Seattle area, and so that he and other young people would be abused. All right, so yeah, so there's more there by Carb, so definitely worth taking a look at that. All right, well, here is a kind of meme that is very meaningful. It is 3 years, 3 kills. Why does Congress keep burying the UAP Disclosure Act? So the UAP Disclosure Act, for a third time, was sponsored in the US Senate by Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Senator Mike Rounds. And 3 times it has failed to be included in the House version and of the NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act. So this particular meme and the stories underneath it explain how the UAP Disclosure Act was gutted or cancelled from both the Senate and the House versions of the bill for 2025. And so it kind of shows that, well, there is some support, minimal support for the UAP Disclosure Act, which lays out the framework whereby the executive branch of the government, the president, would be advised by a group of 9, by a panel of 9 experts who would be given information about UFOs from different intelligence agencies and corporations, using the power of eminent domain and subpoena to get to the truth, and then decide what UFO information should be disclosed or not. And so this supposedly is an act that you would think would strengthen the presidency. But up till now, there's been no support from the president, President Trump, for the UAP Disclosure Act. And so without that kind of support, it looks like it's very unlikely that it will ever pass. And so you have to ask yourself, why doesn't POTUS support the passage of the UAP Disclosure Act? And this, my best guess is that they have something better in the pipeline. I think that's why, that there is something that President Trump and his administration have in the pipeline that is going to be better than the UAP Disclosure Act, which essentially creates another layer of bureaucracy between the president and the truth. And I think if I were advising President Trump about how to deal with the UFO issue, I would say, well, don't bother creating another bureaucratic layer with experts who can decide what to recommend to you or not. Appoint someone that you are directly working with as the czar, as the UFO czar, and that person would have the power to go in and find the truth and report it back to you, and you then decide what should be released or not. That would be my advice. So yeah, that may be why the president is not supporting the UAP Disclosure Act, because on paper, the UAP Disclosure Act does have a lot of positive things going for it. Okay, here's something that was very interesting. This is a revelation by a member of Congress that letters have been sent to 4 different government entities or corporations concerning UFO-related information. So this is something I think we can take a look at. So this is Eric Burlison, where he talks about this letter or these letters that were crafted by members of the UAP Caucus, and what is in these letters. So let's play that.
You're telling me the interrogatories?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Are they coming?
The letters were dropped. There's a whole story there.
And at a whole bunch of different agencies?
We sent it to like 4 different, with 2 agencies and 2 private companies.
Interesting.
And so they ended up, the committee staff ended up dropping a lot of the specific requests that we had put in there, that David Grusch specifically wrote.
Interesting.
They dropped a lot of it and just made a generic request. And so
That was oversight staff?
But you know, their view was that it positions them positions them better legally for getting the information, and if they have to subpoena it.
Interesting.
By making it more generic in the first 5 times.
Did you put a dateline? Like when you want a response by?
I think so, but I don't remember.
Are you expecting it in the coming weeks? Or
We'll see. I don't know.
I'll be watching.
Thank you.
You're telling me the
Okay, so again, this is part of this process whereby members of the US Congress are being much more active and aggressive in approaching different government entities or agencies and private corporations to learn about the UFO issue. And here they sent letters to 4 of these agencies and corporations requesting information concerning UFOs. For example, have you any information relating to UFO crash retrieval operations or something like that? Now, it's interesting that specifics from David Grusch, and perhaps this is where you get into the idea, where you get into this issue where framing something generically actually is better than being specific. So David Grusch might say, well, he might have given specifics for a particular organization like the NRO and say, well, do you know anything about a particular UFO crash retrieval in the California desert or in the year 2015 involving this particular branch of the military? You have those specifics, whereas if you just frame it as generic terms, do you have any information about crash retrieval operations, you may get information about that, which I've done a few Freedom of Information Act requests in the past, and the approach was always to be as specific as possible rather than being generic. Generic doesn't get you anywhere. But in this case, David Grusch's specifics were taken out, and what you had instead was a generic request. So let's see if that actually was a good move or not. I mean, I think it is very curious that they would take out specifics from provided by David Grusch, who does have a lot of expertise on these different classified programs involving UFOs, and just have something very, very generic. So that is it as far as the stories I wanted to cover for the week in review. I do have another monthly live briefing coming up. That is going to be October 4, and we will cover the top exopolitics news stories over the previous 4 to 6 weeks, as well as going into some breaking geopolitical events, and also there'll be a Q&A. And as we get closer to that monthly live briefing in 2 weeks' time, I will probably give you some more specific topics that I will be focusing on in my kind of like exopolitical analysis of geopolitical events. So if you registered as a Patreon Tier 2 subscriber or Tier 3 subscriber, you get the monthly briefing for free. So if not, then you can go directly to Crowdcast. So you can go to exopolitics.org. There'll be an announcement there for this monthly live briefing, and you can start registering now, and it'll be on October 4. So I want to thank you for attending. I appreciate all of those that have signed on to Patreon, especially with my new third tier, which is the Galactic Patron tier, which gives you access to all of my webinars, monthly briefings, as well as our panel webinars. And I'm going to be, over the months ahead, moving some of the past panel webinars that we've done over to Patreon, and that'll be available for free to Tier 3 members. So thank you for watching, and aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.